When you are in a world where the lies have become normality, if the system globally wants to ban you, then you must be saying something right. Everything you see and hear is planned to be sanctioned by authority, or you don't see or hear it. The plan is to create a technologically generated electromagnetic field that encompasses the Earth. They are seeking to connect humans and the human brain to that field, so it becomes a sub-reality. I'd been warning about something I called the Hunger Games Society. Vast numbers of people are going to be making a choice between eating and keeping warm. China is the Great Reset. That's what's coming.
What do you make of Elon Musk taking over Twitter? It looks like he's giving back a lot of free speech elements that were taken away by the Googles and Facebooks.
Why would the cult sell Twitter to Musk if Musk really is about free speech? I don't care how many QR codes you bloody have, it's unenforceable. There's too many people. Take a third, say 500 million said we're not having it in China. Over, gone, kaput, finished.
Do you think we're making progress by planting that seed and making people think that there's something more going on, that they need to be proactive?
All it takes is no. Not doing it. If what you're telling me to do is about enslaving me and my kids, no way am I doing it. And if enough people do that, this is over tonight. No. No! Here's how we get out of it.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... Hi, it's Brian Rose from London Real. You probably know that we've just recently been re-platformed on YouTube after 25 months completely in the dark. The truth is, I really need your help. What I really need you to do is click on that subscribe button right now, like this video, and maybe even leave a comment or share the link with friends. We're really fighting against an algorithm that's tried to keep us quiet for so long, and the more subscribers we have, the more people watch our content, the better guests we can bring you, the better content, and we can continue transforming lives. We've been doing this for 14 years now. I want to do this for another 14 years, but I really need your help. So click on that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, share this, and we're going to continue to bring you more and more great content. Thank you. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is David Icke, the English author, broadcaster, and public speaker. For the past 30 years, you've been known as a professional conspiracy researcher, making it your mission to expose who and what is really controlling the world. You are the author of over 20 books and have lectured in over 25 countries, speaking live for up to 10 hours to tens of thousands of people, delivering incredibly accurate predictions to captivated audiences from all walks of life. Your research into prominent political figures, influential family bloodlines, global events, and the pandemic has received widespread criticism from the mainstream media. But in turn, you've fostered a legion of fans who have grown tired of the government cover-ups, big tech censorship, and the global manipulation efforts that have become an increasing presence in our everyday lives. In 2020, you and I conducted an epic series of 5 record-breaking, long-form live broadcasts, which fundamentally changed the world, allowing tens of millions of people access to an alternative narrative that was crucial in understanding the complicated and challenging times we faced. Now, in 2022, because of your relentless pursuit in exposing the truth, you have been banned from entering the Netherlands alongside 25 other European countries for the next 2 years and deemed a level 3 terrorist. As I've said before, David, while I don't agree with everything you say, I will defend to the death your right to say it and your right to assemble in any country on this planet. Here we go again, our 11th conversation. Let's see if we can get through this without being blocked, banned, censored, and deleted again. David, welcome back to London Real.
Thank you, Brian.
Before we start, I want to remind everyone we're streaming live on our Digital Freedom platform. It's a censorship-free, independent broadcasting system built in 2020 that is of the people, by the people, for the people, and it's available exclusively on our website at freedomplatform.tv. Can everyone watching now please share this link via the sidebar to any and all of your social media channels, Telegram chats, or email lists? Let me just repeat that. Can everyone watching please do us a favor and share this link now via the sidebar to all of your channels? This is important. Simply ask your friends and family to give us 15 minutes and then they can decide. Throughout each one of our live broadcasts, David, nearly 75% of our viewers came from sharing this episode link peer-to-peer. So please share this to all of your contacts and platforms. David, I pledge to you and everyone watching us that none of this conversation will be edited, censored, removed, or banned, and that anyone in the world can watch the full version of this episode free at freedomplatform.tv. Before we start, I want to remind our viewers that here at London Real, we've been fighting for freedom since 2011. We remain one of the few global media companies whose message is not compromised by advertisers, regulators, or big technology platforms. Now, David, the time has come. What happened on November 4th? That's the day you were banned from 26 countries in Europe for 2 entire years.
Well, I seem to be banned from a lot of places, Brian, really. And when you were in a world where the lies have become normality and misinformation is a label given to the truth or alternative opinion, then if the system globally wants to ban you, then you must be saying something right. This is the situation and the stage that we've got. So I've been banned from Australia. That was in 2019. And then I was, and it's been very, very difficult over a long period of time, even in this country and Europe, to do public events. Because it's real simple. The intimidation of the venue is all that's necessary to get the event pulled. And lots of people now are going through this, but I've been going through it since the mid-1990s. So we've tried so far, given up a long time ago, mine, 72 different venues in Germany. And all it takes is that David Icke, he's going to say this and that and the other. And by the way, if you don't stop it, then there's going to be trouble for you. Oh, well, we'll cancel then. That's all it takes. And so this has gone on for a long time and I've become used to it. And it's almost like a war medal, because if they're trying to shut you up on this scale, on this global scale, then you must be saying something they don't want the population to hear. So anyway, I get invited to speak at a peace rally in Amsterdam. I think it was November the 6th it was due to happen. And I agreed. Yeah, no problem. So this is the sequence that followed, and it's exactly the sequence that happened in Australia. First of all, there's a ultra-Zionist organization in the Netherlands called CIDI. There's the equivalent in Australia that did the same, called the Anti-Defamation Commission, I recall it was called. And they start putting out, this man's a Holocaust denier and he's an anti-Semite. Okay. Do I have a say in this? Oh, no, you can't have a say. This is what you are. What happens then, same in Australia, is the media pick it up and they start amplifying it everywhere. This man's an anti-Semite, this man's a Holocaust denier, and so it goes on. And the media in the Netherlands demonized me completely. Mainstream newspapers, television, radio, all of it. Not one of them in that period came to me and said, can you come on and have your say and put your point of view? Not one, none of them, because they're gutless and spineless as well as clueless. And what happens then is the media coverage alerts the wokers, what I call the anti-fascist fascists and the anti-hate haters. These are the organizations, call themselves anti-fascist, that are going around trying to destroy the ability of those they target from having their opinion and having a public event or a public space to say what they think. Now, I don't know if you remember, Brian, but there was this group in Germany in the 1930s and across the Second World War. I think they called them Nazis. And they were doing exactly the same. Anyone that was exposing the Nazis had their events shut down, the books burned famously or infamously. And so now you have these anti-fascist groups, like Antifa, for instance, in America, that act in precisely the same way as the Nazis, and they call themselves anti-fascists. And also, you have this situation now where if you challenge any element of the agenda, what I call the global cult agenda, because that's what it is, including human-caused climate change, which is scientific nonsense, by the way, then they're on your case because you're not allowed to have a different view of climate change. Only their view is allowed. So it reached the point in the Netherlands where, thanks to the city starting it off and the amplification massively in the Netherlands media, these groups start appearing and they say, we are going to have a counter rally and a counter demonstration in this square called Dam Square in Amsterdam against Icke speaking. Then you've got the politicians and the government run by this man, this tyrannical man, Mark Rutte, who's targeting the farmers in the Netherlands for global cult reasons, which we may be able to get into. And the politicians then virtue signaling, of course, oh yes, we're going to have this man, he's Holocaust denier, he's an anti-Semite, all that stuff. And finally, it gets to the Immigration Department and the so-called Justice Department, which is an inversion of inversions of inversions, Justice Department in the Netherlands, as it is in almost every other country. And they say, well, and we've talked to the police, and the police say because there's going to be counter demonstrations by anti-fascist fascists and anti-hate haters, the anti-haters that want you to hate their targets, and also Extinction Rebellion is also going to be there because he's challenging climate change. You're not going to be allowed to come into the Netherlands because your presence might cause trouble. And I'm sitting on the Isle of Wight thinking, well, hold on a minute. I was asked to speak at a peace rally, and against war rally, and I agreed. And through nothing I've said, all this furore in the Netherlands has been created, and those that have created it are using the furore and the backlash against me based on the demonization, to justify me not going. So I'm sitting in a hotel in Kent, waiting to go through the Channel Tunnel the next day. And just like with Australia, along comes this diatribe from the immigration department of the Netherlands government. In terms of Australia, I was sitting in a hotel near LA Airport, 4 hours from getting me plane to a 6-city speaking tour of Australia. And the Australian immigration minister, a bloke called David Coleman, he sends me a diatribe telling me that he knows I've been there 10 times before and there's never been a problem, but you're not coming this time, right? And what the Netherlands missive said was, your presence has stirred up all this trouble. No, you have, and so you're not coming. And it was fascinating to me to see that one of the reasons given was that I'm talking about a reptilian force running the world, right? In the shadows, from the shadows. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute. I thought that was crazy. I thought I'm mad for saying that. It's always what's been said before. And suddenly it appears on an official Netherlands government document telling me it's one of the reasons I'm not allowed in. So what followed and what was in this document is not only are you banned from the Netherlands, but you're also banned from 25 other countries in the so-called Schengen group, which have a common border policy. And so you're not allowed into those countries either, which includes France, etc., if you're coming from Britain. And more than that, the Schengen information system, as it's called, is recognized by other European countries, European Union countries not in the Schengen group, and by other countries not in the European Union, including the United States, as a criteria for whether they allow someone in or not. So I'm not just banned from 26 countries, including the Netherlands, but from a vast tract of the world, including Australia. Now, then the question comes, hold on a minute. He's one bloke, he's one guy living in a one-bedroom flat on the Isle of Wight, and he's banned from all these countries by these governments. What on earth can he be saying? And the other question, Brian, is this, and it's a point that's worth emphasizing. Why are they frightened of me? Why are they so terrified of me that they go to these ludicrous, childlike extremes to try to stop people hearing what I'm saying? And what that shows you, and I have been emphasizing this over the years, is where the real power is. And it's not with these people that appear to have the power. If it was, they wouldn't care less about one bloke on the Isle of Wight putting this information out. They'd just laugh. Does it matter, mate? We're the power. But it matters to them to the point where they ban me from much of the world. Why? Because they know their narrative is child's play to take apart. And therefore, the only way they are going to defend their nonsensical narrative is by silencing anyone exposing and dismantling the narrative. And therefore, you have the explanation for why the scale of censorship worldwide, mainstream media, Silicon Valley, all of it, has become so hysterical. And you know, I was in all the media, mainstream media in the Netherlands, as they were demonizing me. But when you've got a British citizen, who's quite controversial, actually, who's suddenly banned from 26 European countries, all the rest, but officially 26. And the mainstream media in Britain hardly touched the story, hardly mentioned it. In fact, quite a lot of the, what I call mainstream light alternative, never mentioned it. And the reason they're so frightened of me is because I go so deep in the rabbit hole and I go into those levels that this global conspiracy there said it, to enslave humanity, where it's actually coming from, how it works, and how all the dots connect, so that everything that you see, organizations, people, governments, banking systems, Silicon Valley, World Health Organization, are not operating in isolation and in a random fashion. They are, if you go deep enough in these organizations, you reach that level of them where actually it's one web pushing the world in one direction. And what's happened is, as they have moved closer and closer to their goal, which we can get into, this process of seeing groups and organizations and people moving as one unit has become blatantly obvious with anyone with eyes to see. So you have the G20 recently moving as one unit to a digital world and a QR world along the Chinese pattern blueprint. And if you look at the key elements of this agenda, take the COVID, take the jab, take human-caused global warming, take Ukraine, on and on it goes. Governments speak the same narrative. The mainstream media worldwide speaks the same narrative. And Silicon Valley censors on the basis of defending the same narrative. And so people talk about conspiracy theorists. Well, what about the coincidence theorists? That all these different elements, all these different groups, speaking with one tongue and censoring anyone who's challenging it, well, that's one hell of a coincidence, and it needs to be explained how such a coincidence can possibly happen. It needs to be explained, just as an aside, why countries all over the world and organizations all over the world had the idea pretty much at the same time. Oh, I know, I've had a great idea. Full enough, I've had the same one. And me. We're going to put drag queens into schools to read stories to small kids. And then we're going to advance it, as it is in America and many other places now, where the drag queens are going to strut their stuff in front of the little kids. There's a reason why that's happening, which maybe we can get into as well. But again, coincidence theorists, explain to me how this idea came to so many people at the same time. So where we are with the Netherlands is there's a court hearing on the 9th of December. And we've just heard, just before we started this chat, that I am not allowed, because there's brilliant people in the Netherlands who are supporting me and lawyers who've taken the government to court for this ludicrous ban And they asked the immigration department of the Netherlands if I can come in to the Netherlands for one day, December the 9th, to represent myself in court with the lawyers, and they've just turned it down. They've said the only thing you can do is basically come in on Zoom or something from Britain, from England. So we have this situation, therefore, where the authorities, and so they should be, by the way, are so terrified of me, they won't even let me into their country for one day to appear in a court case which is about me in person. And there's a petition going around. It's freedavidicke.eu, which we're trying to get as many people to sign. And we're past already the 40,000 signatures. That means it triggers a debate on this in the Dutch Parliament. But the more we can get, the better, because it puts more pressure on the authorities. But that is the scale of where we're at. And you know, in our chats over the last few years, I've said to you that the plan is that eventually no one anywhere hears anything that isn't approved by the authorities. Everything you see and hear is planned to be sanctioned by authority, or you don't see or hear it. And we are moving down that road so fast now because of another process that I've talked to you about, which is the more you centralize power, the more power you have at the center to centralize even quicker. And so the more control they've accumulated at the center, the more they can advance their agenda, not least through censorship. So the censorship has got greater. If you remember, they started off, people like YouTube, saying we're going to demonetize, in other words, not give any advertising revenue to people who are challenging the system. That was stage one. Because it's like, how do these people operate? Well, a lot of them operated from revenue from YouTube and their videos. Oh, okay, we'll target that. And then the next stage was outright bans eventually. And it's gone on and on and on ever since. And you know, the really tragic thing, well, there are many tragic things in relation to this, but this one, those called wokers who are absolutely operating as the foot soldiers of this censorship, who go out and protest when someone's speaking at an event somewhere that they saying something they don't agree with or think they don't agree with, those people are creating the very global fascist tyranny, centralized globally fascist tyranny, that their children and their grandchildren will have to live in. And exactly the same applies to the mainstream media and those operating in Silicon Valley, the foot soldiers of Silicon Valley, not the people that run the place, because they're in on it anyway. You've got so-called journalists all over the world. And what happened in the Netherlands is classic, where the entire mainstream media was turned on me. Didn't want to give me even any opportunity to put my case and challenge what was happening. And that's happening in countries all over the world. So you've got people called journalists and television presenters and radio presenters, and what they do is they get up in the morning and they say goodbye to their children as they go to school, and they then go to work, and they promote the narrative of this global cult, even though the vast majority won't even know there's a cult or a narrative. They'll just follow the party line. And then they'll go home and they'll see their children again when they've spent the day promoting an agenda and demonizing those challenging it that is going to enslave those children for the rest of their lives. And if people want to know, and I've been saying this for so long, so many years, if people want to see where this is planned to go, look at China today, because China's the blueprint for the rest of the world.
And I want to get into China. I want to address how they attack you. So I want to ask, is David Icke an anti-Semite?
Well, first of all, anti-Semitism means basically anti-Arab, ironically, because the word Semitic relates to a language group in the Middle East, which is overwhelmingly Arabic languages. But okay, let's look at the way it's used, which means anti-Jewish. Well, you know, the guy who invited me to the Netherlands and is driving this court case to challenge my ban, his name's Mordecai. He's Jewish. He lost 21 members of his family in Nazi Germany. And as he's asked the media himself in the Netherlands, why would I ask an anti-Semite to speak in the Netherlands and then stand up for his right to free speech? Why would I do that? And the answer, of course, is he wouldn't. And the irony is, Brian, that if you look at my philosophy on life, my philosophy on reality, and what I've been warning about in terms of this conspiracy, in terms of the first one, as you know, we've talked about this many times in the chats. My philosophy on life is that we are all points of attention within one single infinite state of consciousness awareness. And that the labels of a human life, whether you call them Jewish, Muslim, Christian, agnostic, humanist, Hindu, are simply experiences that our consciousness is having. We are not the labels of a human life. They are experiences that we are having. And your sexuality, whatever it may be, is a human experience. And the human experience, as you know, when you get to 70 years of age, as I am now, is very, very brief. It's gone in that time, right? And therefore, the labels of a human life, what your religion is, what your race is, what your culture is a brief human experience. It's not who we are. What we are is the consciousness having the experience. And that in the end, we are all one. Now, perhaps someone would explain to me how judging a human experience by the culture, religion, or sexuality fits into that philosophy on life. As I've said many, many times, if you perceive someone by the nature of their body or by the nature of their background, and you perceive them not on the basis of who they are and what they do and how they act, but on the basis of genetics or the basis of culture or religion, then you have completely lost the bloody plot about what this is. It's a brief experience called human. And what I do is I look at how people behave and act, and you make your judgment on that. If someone's a psychopath and they're running a government, I'm going to call them out. If they're Jewish, I'm going to call them out. If they're Muslim, I'm going to call them out. If they're Christian, I'm going to call them out. And if they are a decent person who believes in freedom and believes in justice and fairness for all equally, then if they're Jewish or they're Muslim or they're Christian or whatever, I'm going to say, good on you, mate. I'm with you. And let me sum up my philosophy like this, or sum up the way I look at reality and people. Show me any group, doesn't matter what it is, any religious group, any cultural group, any political group, any group of any kind anywhere, and within those groups I'll show you psychopaths, I'll show you all right people who are not psychopaths, and I'll show you lovely, nice people. And whether that group is Jewish or Muslim or Christian or Hindu or any of them, that will be the same. Are we saying that no Jewish people can be psychopaths? Are we saying that? Are you insane? Are we saying that no Muslim can have psychopaths? No Hindu, no Christian? Of course. The spectrum of the group is the spectrum of human perception and human behavior. But this is the point. If you mention someone who is Jewish, and I tell you what was really hilarious in this stuff from the immigration department in the Netherlands, is they said, you are reported to say that a partly Jewish group is running the world. Well, so how am I an anti-Semite then, if even by your criteria I'm saying partly Jewish? So I must be saying other things. I must be saying Christians and Muslims, see Saudi Arabia and that government as well. So what I'm doing is I'm calling out different elements of this code that are expressed in every culture and every religious group. But you mention someone who's Jewish, like George Soros, for instance, and immediately you're not calling out George Soros. You're saying the whole of the Jewish people are involved in this conspiracy. No, I'm not. I'm saying George Soros is. And this is how it works.
It's a dangerously effective tool.
It's immensely effective. And I'll tell you one of the interesting things, because it's all psychological. If you're a few and you want to control billions of people, you have to do it psychologically, because there's not enough of you actually to do it physically. So why do they go for Holocaust denial? Because as I was saying, I talked about my philosophy there on life, which is we're all one. We don't care what your bloody label is. But I'm also, for the last 33 years nearly now, been warning that where the world is going is a global version of Nazi Germany. I mean, irony or what? I'm the one warning, with many others around the world now, that the way the world is going is to be a global version of Nazi Germany. And the people who are acting like Nazis, who want to silence anyone they don't agree with, are calling me a Nazi because we're anti-fascist, when I've been saying for 33 years nearly, this world is going in the direction of Nazi Germany, only it will be global this time. So whether you look at my philosophy on life and reality, or whether you look at what I've been warning is coming and is all around us for anyone now that wants to see, it is an absolute inversion of what I am demonized for being. Why? How can you demonize and silence someone who is saying we're all one and we're all expressions of each other, and these different experiences called human are just experiences, but we're all ultimately an expression of each other? How can you demonize someone like that? You can't. And how can you demonize someone as a Nazi when they're actually warning that a global version of Nazi Germany is coming unless people wake up fast? Pretty much here now. You can't. So what you do is you invert what they are and what they're saying, and you know that the vast majority of people will never check. They'll just listen to the BBC or the Daily Mail or whatever newspaper is in the Netherlands or elsewhere, and they'll just believe what they're told. You know that. And therefore, you know that even though you're inverting totally what someone is and what they're saying, you know the vast majority of people you communicate with won't check. And thus, they'll believe what you say, and they will act upon what you've led them to believe. But it's just an interesting point worth noting. Like I say, this is all psychological. So why do they go with the Holocaust denier? Very interesting. Certainly, this is the way I see it anyway. Anyone that looks at what happened in Nazi Germany, to Jewish people, but also to other people that are often forgotten, communists, the infirm, the mentally challenged people, it triggers an emotional response, if you've got any heart, that is, of absolute revulsion. It's an immediate revulsion. You see pictures of some of these scenes, and you get an immediate emotional response of revulsion. The reason they target you as a Holocaust denier is because they want to take that emotional revulsion, that understandable reaction, and they want to associate you with it. So if you can dub someone a Holocaust denier, what you do is the revulsion that people feel for Nazi Germany suddenly gets attached to you, and they start feeling revulsion for you. That's the psychological game going on, and that's why you get these people, absolute screaming abuse at me.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.
Most people will never see this opportunity. Dubai luxury transformation projects have historically delivered 40 to 90% annual returns. That is incredible. These were once reserved only for insiders with access. I spent 15 years on Wall Street and I learned this: the biggest returns always go to the people who get the call first. Now, you finally can. We've just received a brand new project with major upside potential. Allocations move fast. Click the link, apply now, and speak to my team. This is your chance to see what others never will.